Hi there. In this video we'll be covering, can I make money by writing a book? You definitely can, sometimes even six-figure revenue, but you need to follow the right strategies. I'll explain in this video. By the end of this video, you will learn how your topic, your book goals, and your offerings can all contribute to the revenue that you get from your book. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. When thinking about if you can make money from writing a book, the answer is it depends. It depends on the topic, it depends on the message you're trying to share, it depends on the marketability and reach of your book. It depends on being able to put your book in the right person's hands. So there's so many factors that come into play when thinking about revenue with your book, but really it ties back to how your book connects to your bigger purpose and your goals. A lot of times when I start working with an author, we start talking about what they want the reader to do next when they're done reading the book. First, you need to get somebody in the room. You got them in the room picking up the book. Okay, what's next? They need to do something after the book is done. You know, if they just read the book, put it down, put it away, it's on their bookshelf, and that's it. That's the end of the story. There is no next thing. You know, maybe they follow you on social media. You know, maybe they are interested in what you're doing next, but there's no follow-up. There's no next step. You're all about the next step. If you're focused on revenue from books, you need to think about the next step. And a lot of times, authors get stuck on the idea that they just need to get people to read the book and they're just going to figure out what to do next. Hate to break it to you, but that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. And I've seen it happen multiple times. I've worked with authors who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on PR campaigns and marketing for their book, only to see those opportunities and leads just sift away, just sift through their fingers because they didn't have anything to catch those leads from, to gather the leads, to take the reader on this journey forward. So it really does depend. You really need to have offerings and you need to have a robust funnel to capture these leads. I look at that on the other hand with other clients I've worked with who have generated six-figure revenue from their books, you know, by getting the book in the right reader's hands, and then those readers want to become clients of the company of the author. On the flip side of that, I think to some of my clients who run businesses who have written books and the people who read the books then wanted to work with the author, wanted to sign up to work with their company and spend tens of thousands of dollars. That's amazing. That's great. And that's a system of success. So you're not actually looking at all at book sales. You're not looking at the number of books sold at all. You're focusing on having the biggest impact with the books that you do sell, which I think is a much better strategy and approach, not only for book writing, but just for everything. Who cares what the reach is if the people don't do what you want them to do? You could spend tens of thousands of dollars getting an email campaign and having a blast sent out where people get a free gift card and they can go and buy your book for this gift card, you know, and you can be a bestseller. So what? You know, it's bigger and better if you can say, okay, I'm going to have the biggest impact with the people who read this book. And that's what matters most. Your book goals are going to dictate whether or not your book is a revenue driver as well. You know, I think back to some of my favorite book projects I've worked on, and they were marketable and they had an opportunity, the authors did, to make money from the book and didn't want to. You know, this was a family project to them. This was something very dear and tender. They didn't even care at all about making money. You know, your book goals could have nothing to do with money at all, or they could have everything to do with money. And you need to be mindful of that going into it, because the more honest you can be with yourself about your book goals and about the money that you want to make from your book, you can actually write the book accordingly. So if you want to think of your book as a retirement package, 401k for yourself, and generate lots and lots of revenue from the book, you need to write a book that's going to generate revenue. You know, you can't just write any old book and just put it out there and think, this is going to happen. But I think being smart and being honest about that, you can actually lean into that. You can actually do something about it. You can write a book that's positioned to generate and create revenue, you know, instead of thinking about it afterwards and saying, oh, it'd be nice to get some revenue from this. No, be upfront to yourself, be honest with yourself. Another thing to think about is the book topic. If your book is simply meant to inform people, if your book is an entertainment type of book, that's more along the lines of book sales are the driver. You're not trying to have a deeper impact in that way. You're not trying to create a funnel system. I've worked on some books that I cared about very much, that I adored working on, and there was never a next step for me. There was never that other thing, but different topics can be more marketable than others. If you're writing a business book and you want people to work with you, that can be a good option. If you're interested in writing your family story about your ancestors from the early 1900s, money is probably not the biggest driver of that. And it shouldn't be. I don't know what the next thing would be to offer for that. So, it's really about topic, about goals, about outcomes, about all these different things. By understanding what you want to write, you can then look at other books in this space and say, I want it to be as successful as that book. Or, this space isn't very marketable. I'm not going to worry about too much. I'm going to think about the other opportunities. And that's where things can come through. The secondary things, the business functions, the speaking engagements, the doors that open because of your book. So instead of thinking about simple book sales and thinking about just selling as many copies as you can, think about the doors that can open from your book. Speaking engagements can be very lucrative. Different opportunities can build and grow your platform. So there's a lot of opportunities around book writing. It's just a matter of being authentic, being honest, being real about them, and just being true to yourself. Being true to yourself and writing the best possible book. If you want to learn more about can I make money by writing a book, there's a course I want you to check out that I created. It's my Good Book Accountability course. And it's all about the book writing process. We meet weekly, we talk about our wins, we cover lessons, challenges, opportunities, just a great community to build upon, and it's a low cost every month. If you're interested in checking it out, go to my website. It's goodbookmastery.com. You can click the link below, and I would love to see you there. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.